goodness. Okay, we need to close the music. Excuse me. Hi, everyone. We've got a couple people in YouTube chat. Quantum Chaos, Mabs, Banana Brains, Nikki, hello. And of course, shout out to my favorite children on the website chat. We've got Psychoplebeian, who was here rocking out to the music. Mabs is here too. J-Lock, welcome to the website. Thank you so much for hopping on over here. What kind of what kind of bee produces milk? Is it a booby? Yeah. A booby. Get it? Anyway, yes, thanks for coming on over here, everybody. Today is mostly a chill stream plan. That's kind of the new norm. There, of course, is some politics, so we will talk about it a little. But if you haven't yet hit the like button, please hit the like button. I want to get more and more and more people in here for our chill streams, you know? Maybe I need to take a new thumbnail pic. I think I'm going to take a new thumbnail pic really fast. I'm just going to put all of this away for a moment. It'll be back in a second, okay? I promise, okay? Let me just take another screenshot because I've changed my hair and everything, and I think that this is better advertisement. I think the more femme I am, the better advertising it is, and that's just my opinion. I don't know if it's true. We're finding out. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think that's a fine picture. We'll go ahead and take that one. We'll change the thumbnail. Boom. Yeah. So I think the secret is that people think I'm a trans woman and I get more clicks that way, I think is what we're discovering. I know it's kind of sad, but I mean, you know, people see a trans person and they see that they're femme and they're like, I'm gonna fucking shit my pants. Plus, I had the other color scheme on earlier. We just need to fix everything. We're just gonna fix everything. Okay, yeah. Quantum Chaos in the YouTube chat says, bye website chat, now you know how we feel, haha, which is funny. Okay, and hi, now you're all back. Welcome. Welcome back. That's my filming tab. That's how I have everything set up for when I'm just filming myself. Clickbait femme, it's true. By the way, Ancom Jane, I updated your username for you, so now it's fixed. Yeah, it was a very, very titillating joke about the boobies. Put a gay border around it for the rest of Pride Month. You mean the like around here for Pride Month? I mean, I always have a rainbow in shot. See, there's my rainbow flag and my trans flag. They're always there, you know? Those dang women at it again. Yeah, I'm trying a couple new things with, you know, trying to get the channel more views. You know, that's, you know, take away all the obfuscation and everything. Like, that's what YouTube rewards. It rewards more views and watch time, I guess. So we're trying all kinds of new things. And one of those things is I don't know if you guys saw the polls. I'm trying to do the polls like, what did I do last time? Okay, last time I put like women, and then the answers was like women, or like women. Like 3 different ways of saying women. And today I did men. So far it's gotten less attention. But so Arden, I don't know if you guys know this, but on Takis, we always have a poll on the day that we do the show. And we use that as a way of like, let's talk about this week's issue. So we always make the poll something about the news. Like, oh, do you think, what was it last week? I proposed like, do you think trans people are justified in seeking... Basically, I asked the question, like, do you think DIY hormones is acceptable when it is being criminalized or taken away from you? So that was a way for us to talk about the Supreme Court ruling and, like, you know, the reduction of access for trans people and the fact that like this is what be gay do crimes means. Like this is like they are making it illegal, and so people are justified in seeking the care from other sources. But anyway, we do the polls because apparently it helps the views. Like because the community posts go out to a different type of audience, but they see, I think they see when your icon pops up that the channel is live, and I think that people's curiosity, they see this kind of inflammatory question, and then they see that we're live and they click through. So last time I started the poll, like basically as we started stream. Today I started it earlier to see if it would trickle in. But I just also think it would be very funny if my poll that asks men just straight up gets fewer votes and less views than my one that said women. I don't know why. I mean, that's kind of the whole joke though, isn't it? That like women are better than men. That's kind of the whole joke because today's, I'm like men. You can actually go vote on this, and I would recommend that you do it because I think it's funny, and I do think it helps the channel, and you should also comment on it. But I put like men, and then the answers are men, ... or men, 2 exclamation points. Men or women. And as I predicted, women is winning this poll. 49%. Oh God. But I'm only doing it because apparently it helps the live streams get more views. So we're just trying new things. Hi, I'm the one again where my friend put Parmesan on his bubble tea from last time. What's up? Also, Christine, your username is Christine, and I saw that you commented on a video earlier about how you're like, I appreciate women because I am a man and I can't bring life into... You were like, yeah, your comment says, women can literally bring life into this world. I, as a man, truly appreciate them. Are you on the wrong account? Christine? What's the deal? What's going on? Hi, Baphomet. Yes, hello, homos. I see the boobies jokes and suggest wrapping them up. We got to cover those up, you know? We got to put them away. Inflammatory question, and it's just women. No. So, Banana Brains, I was referring to what we do on the Transatlantic call-in show. What I'm doing here is just silliness. I just want to be clear. If I was unclear and the wires got crossed. On Takis, we do these kind of inflammatory questions sometimes where we're like, yeah, like, should trans kids have access to hormone care or whatever? You know, we ask these controversial questions because we have an audience, or at least we're trying to have an audience as like we want people to come in who want to argue with us. So we got to pose the questions sometimes that get people interested in coming and having that discussion. Because that's what that channel is all about. It's about having like arguments with people, basically. I am not going to be on Takis tomorrow, by the way. Ooh, thank you. Kitty Tick with a tier 3 sub says, and it's been a while since I did donate a few bucks. Yeah, it's been a while since I did. I got you. Cool, but thank you. Yes, now you get your purple name back. Oh no, where's my phone? Oh no, I don't have my phone. Anyway, I think that's a $20 tier 3. Or did you do multiple months? Shoot, I don't know what I did with my phone. Gotta drink water. Yeah, let me find my phone really fast. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Okay, I found it. I left it in the other room. Now I'm back. Yes, sorry for the Nickelback. No, you don't have to apologize for Nickelback. Nickelback is one of the only things about white culture that I think is even remotely acceptable. You know? Or is that Stained? Regardless, it is white people culture. A normal white people thing is listening to Stained on the radio. It's one of the least racist things that white people do. Okay, cool. Yes. $20 dono. Adding that to the board here. Cat. Or I could be buff. I could flex. I don't really care. It's kind of whatever you guys want. You want Dommy Mommy buff flexy? Any update on the possibility of a hang-up appearance? No, I haven't gotten an update on that. I don't think. Not tonight, obviously. I thought that the schedule was open for this week, but it was just that the calendar schedule hadn't been updated. But they already had planned for Godless Engineer to be on tonight, I think. So I'm always like gonna be able to ask when the schedule is about to be made, because I don't know what the schedule is for July yet. This is the thing, is we kind of fly by the seat of our pants sometimes. And it's just like, I think because honestly, Arden is probably doing the work of like 3 people. And we should have another employee. I think that would probably be good. But we don't. So here we are. But so the schedule often doesn't get made until kind of the last minute. And also, like, it's not just Arden's fault. I don't want to try to make it sound like Arden is a bad employee or anything. She does an amazing job. She just is spread thin. And also, it's kind of hard to get all of these YouTubers to commit to a schedule, apparently. Like, for me, it's not an issue because my schedule is consistent. And I don't really go places. I don't have appearances. I don't have a second job. So, like, some of these folks, you know, like Forrest is a biologist first and foremost. He has a job. Like, he does other things. But yeah, so it can take some time to get us all like on the schedule, which is why we don't find out until the last minute. So I have no idea what's going on next month, but she has seen that I want to be on it. So maybe that'll raise it to her attention, and we'll see. Applications when? Yeah. I don't know that we're looking to expand our team right now, but I mean, that's like, I'm just like a contracted co-host, basically. I don't really actually know about a lot of the inner workings. I'm a freelancer a little bit. Yeah, legit happy I found the line. It showed me so many phenomenal folks. There's a lot of great folks on our network. I especially like the ones who I have done shows with. But so that's just like a familiarity bias. Oh my gosh, why did I lose? It's so weird. Like, I need to stop. It's not like, okay, checking the subscriber number is not even something that you have to do on purpose. It's just on your dashboard at YouTube all the time. So if I'm like, oh, I just lost 4 subscribers since the last time I was on this page earlier, I'm like, dang it. And it bugs me, and I wish it didn't bug me. I'm like, I wish I had the option to just turn it off. Or maybe I should just do a better job of not going to the dashboard. I don't know. But it's obnoxious. Ooh. So I finally today recorded my video about I Saw the TV Glow. So if y'all are interested, I know that that's kind of what was voted on with the poll, but I'm not sure if any of you all here are amongst that list of people. But I finished recording it today. I recorded it for like an hour and a half. It's probably going to ultimately be like a 50-minute video or something along those lines. Although, like, I do also intend to have clips in this one. Basically, I'm trying to raise the quality. Okay. I want to try really hard to do this job well before I give up doing this job and try to find something else. You know, obviously, I don't like that I owe a lot in taxes, but I think that problem would equalize itself out if I was just making enough money. If like I'm making enough money that a couple $1,000s in taxes isn't like a huge setback, then basically that's what I'm trying to get toward. Like trying to see, is it reasonable for me to try to like get to that level of stability by growing the channel in the next year or so, you know? So I'm thinking of things like, yeah, sure, I might take like a marketing class or like a couple business classes, or if there are classes that talk about like social media management in their curriculum, like I'm interested in possibly doing that and just getting better at the job that I'm doing now. And so with I Saw the TV Glow, I'm like, okay, this is a video that a lot of people requested. People do care about this one. It might not perform well with my core audience, so I'm kind of just still aware that it might not do very well, or that I'm not sure exactly how to market it so that it will do well with my existing subscribers. But for at least the contents of the video, I did the specific lighting. This is the closest I've ever come to like wearing like a costume for a video. The way that I performed the video was very different than usual. Is it up already? No, sweet Jesus. I recorded it today. I recorded it and it took an hour and a half to record it. And I started this stream at 3 p.m. So just to be clear, I did not have time to edit it today from beginning to end. I'm hoping to get that done and be able to upload it on Friday, or at the very latest, like Monday next week, as like a, you know, oh, that's the last day of Pride. So I ended up doing I will have ended up doing 3 queer movie reviews, trans movie reviews, trans-themed movie reviews for Pride this year. And then from there, I think I'm just going to kind of keep doing this, although from that point, I will start to feel like less like I'm beholden to doing only trans stuff. But I am excited to, and like we're still in a transition period for the channel, right? Like we are going from talking about politics, and we still do on the streams, and we still will in the videos when it's relevant, but that's not the focus in that way anymore. So now it's like, let's talk about media. And right now it has to be queer media, trans media, in order for the whole media concept to catch on, you know? Like if I just start making videos about other stuff, they don't work. So that's what we're in the middle of right now. Yes, a transition period for my trans channel. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like, I might change the logo. I might actually go ahead and just do like the logo update and update the name to like Luxander at Musing Moss maybe, or like something that has Luxander and Musing Moss both in it, so that I can start establishing the new branding while keeping it connected to the existing brand. Like I feel like I shouldn't get rid of Luxander, period. But I do want to start including the other part of it. So basically, this is a weird job where you have to do so many different things, and you have to be at least like aware of, if not pretty good or like knowledgeable at several things. So yeah, I am feeling a little bit more inspired than usual, which I like. Musing Moss by Luxander. Yeah, something along those lines. I don't want Luxander to be like falling off the screen, because sometimes the channel name gets abbreviated, you know? Or like, so maybe Luxander's Musing Moss, so that it's like not falling off the page until it starts to have its own brand identity as Musing Moss. Then maybe we transition away from using Luxander. But it's like unfortunate, I guess, but my name has brand recognition. It's so weird. Did your pansexual versus omnisexual video talk about what gender blind is in it, or am I thinking about another vid? I can't remember ever talking about gender blind. I don't know what that means in this context. Is that just referring to like when you don't care about gender in your sexual attraction? Because that's just kind of what pansexual means. So I guess I did cover gender blind without actually saying those words. That makes sense. Yeah, so gosh, I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah. I'm feeling a lot more inspired, which I like, and I hope that other people can start to pick up that same energy. I honestly don't think I would be feeling as okay as I am if I were keeping up with the news the same way that I used to. I'm definitely like paying more attention to the news than I want to do, but or yeah, maybe it's just that the news isn't as crushingly bad right now, or I'm like avoiding specifically anti-trans news, and maybe that's the thing. Because right now I'm like, okay, the cool socialist progressive guy won the primary in New York City, which is like, why does everybody need to care about fucking New York City? I think the reason is because, first of all, New York City has its own, like, quite large economy. But also because this election, this primary, really has kind of put a spotlight on the issue that we have with the Democratic Party establishment, where they are so attached to their particular way of doing things that they will support a guy with a bunch of credible sexual assault allegations or sexual harassment allegations. It's sexual harassment for Cuomo. And like they poured a shit ton of money into his campaign, like a lot. It was like what, 35 million or something of like PAC money essentially. And he still lost. Like they do ranked voting for the primaries. So you basically, like, that was the campaign, was like, don't rank Cuomo, like don't put him on there. And this cool dude won, whose name I do not know right now. Okay, Zoran Mamdani is what I'm gonna guess it is, because I've never heard it spoken out loud before. But he supported trans rights throughout his campaign, which is significant. He basically ran on a populist message of like, you know, let's make buses free and fucking pay for childcare, and so like a lot of things that people do care about, which was refreshing, of course. And he's super charismatic, people say. Oh, let me make sure I did this earlier. Whoop. Okay, yes, I did do that. I was like, did I even ping you guys in the Discord that we're starting? So this dude is very charismatic. He's got a populist message, and he supported trans people. He came to a rally that was like supporting trans rights. He has said that they want to expand care for gender, I think he said for gender affirming minors specifically. So just a cool dude. And he's won the primary. That doesn't mean that he's now the mayor of New York City, but it does mean that he's going to go up against some Republican. And I think that he stands a good chance of winning. Like, it turns out when you talk to people about issues that actually matter to them personally, and you don't have like a secret agenda of sexually harassing your secretary and funneling money away from poor people, you know, like, so the reason why this is so significant is that for the Democratic establishment to pour this much money into Cuomo's campaign and for him to lose pretty badly, all things considered, like considering the funding deficit, it's pretty abysmal how he performed. Because, I mean, we usually see a pretty direct correlation between spending and percentage of the vote. Or, you know, I'm not saying it's 1-to-1, but it typically is like the more money you have to spend, the more likely you are to vote, or to win. The more money you can spend on your campaign, the more money you can spend, like, having fancy dinners for fancy people. Like, that is what wins elections a lot of the time. So for it to have gone the other way, I'm sure the Democratic establishment was sitting there waiting to be like, I told you so. Progressivism isn't popular. You need to listen to us and do things the way that we want to do and ignore all those people who keep saying we want to do progressive stuff. So for progressivism to have won out this dramatically, I think it is like we really needed this win. Like we really, really needed this win so that the Democrats could be faced with the possibility of needing to rethink their strategies. Like you can't keep saying that it's that, oh, we need to distance ourselves from trans issues, because guess what? Zoran did not distance himself from trans issues. In fact, championed trans people, went to our rallies, listened to us speak, and he won the primary. So it's like, yeah, you can't keep saying, oh, we're going to keep losing. I guess if he loses to whatever Republican, then that would be fuel for them. But at least for this, like the difference between Cuomo's approach to things and Mamdani's approach to things, it just seems like it would be really, really, really hard for anyone to take the Democrats seriously if they keep saying things like we need to distance ourselves from progressive causes or we're going to lose. Like, no, we can all see plainly that you are losing because you keep refusing to become progressive. You know, you're not good enough to get Republican votes. They don't want you. And also you keep fucking over progressives and they don't want to vote for you. So like, great, you know, congrats. Yeah, Zoran has this fantastical property called Standing Up for Something, called Having a Fucking Spine. His chance of winning is pretty good. That's how I feel as well. Want to hear a trans news thing I just heard about? The U.S. Attorney General sent the FBI to probe 3 children's hospitals to investigate, quote, child genital mutilation. I sincerely hope that those hospitals buy themselves some private security that's willing to throw fucking down, because I'm so tired of this shit. Ooh. Water. So good for you, babes. So good for you. Okay. OMG, it's hilarious to me that Albuquerque hasn't been a good enough lesson yet. If you give people the right of mobility, more people will work. More people work, more people spend more, people pay taxes, motherfuckers. You also save millions a year on paying security and fee agents, millions of court cases to do with fare evasion, and billions upgrading the subway gates to catch more people evading fares. Stupid ass shit. Yeah, I guess I don't know what they did in Albuquerque. Are you saying that like they invested in free, robust public transit there? So yeah, they're not paying all this money for security. They're not paying for people to hunt you down if you don't pay your fucking $2 fare. Gives people a chance to pursue work they love. Yeah, I mean, how much of a restriction is that? You know, that like I haven't had my car because my partner and I moved up here with just my car, and he's been using my car to get to work. He's gonna try to buy a vehicle soon, but we just I've just been stuck at home. And like we even have a pretty decent public transit here, but it's like I wish that the shit was better funded, you know? And in a society where public transit is better funded, I also imagine that lots of other public services are better funded, so there aren't like I mean, frankly, like I've seen people doing drugs in public. I've seen people unstable shouting things in public. And I'm going to be completely honest, like I'm a very small framed person. I'm not excited about the prospect of being confronted on public transit or getting on and off public transit by some of the rough people who live in the Portland area. Like going places by myself on public transit, just frankly, not something that I'm particularly excited about. So I just kind of like mostly don't go places unless I have my car. And, it would be nice if we lived in a society where like things ran more smoothly and like people's needs were actually accounted for, and you know, social services were more robust and social workers were more readily available, and you're like not worried that if you do end up in a situation where someone is accosting you, they are not going to get like killed by the police, you know? It's like so many different things where you're just like, I literally would rather avoid all of this. Okay, so in Albuquerque, they made the buses light rail and subway free, and it saved them money immediately. Right. I truly do think that this is one of the things that kneecaps. Okay, so here's one difference between Kansas and Oregon. In Kansas, I had to go to a treasurer's office in order to get my car registered every year. You couldn't do it at the DMV. Like, it's not what they do at the, you don't do it at the DMV. You pay the taxes that you owe every year at a treasurer's office. I moved here and I assumed that it would have to be different trips. I would have to go to 2 different places. But no, when I went to the DMV to get my driver's license, I also paid the taxes and registration on my car. Like, I don't know why it's like you're paying for an entire different satellite office. So you're paying the rent, you're paying for additional employees. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, our government in general is bad at recognizing when not spending money costs more and ignoring the price of paying for force. Because what they're paying for, it's like, I was just thinking about this earlier. I was thinking, like, why wouldn't you want to have happy workers? You know, if we know that happy workers, workers who are being paid well, workers who are being treated well, that they perform better, they have a higher economic output, you know? Like, they're better at their jobs. You don't have as much turnover, so you spend less money training people. Like, it's a complete economic benefit to give people adequate time off, adequate salary, and to treat them well at work. But I think, like, what we're all missing at the bottom of all of this, I think that we're looking at this on a capitalism level, right? Where, like, the system, like, things aren't done in a capitalist system for the sake of it being good for people. We do things because it's profitable, right? So we sell dumb fucking little toys that are plastic and they're gonna break and whatever. They're made with fucking cancer-causing shit in them. And like, so people think, oh, we're doing that because it's profitable. And, like, I think that is, for the most part, a reasonable assumption. But I think because we understand that certain things are being done that are harming the economy, like letting COVID run rampant is harming the economy because more people are filing for disability and fewer people can work. So, and people are dying, so you have fewer workers. Again, it's bad for the economy. What it does is it reinforces a social hierarchy. And I really wonder if the social hierarchy is even more fundamental to the system than strictly what makes people money. Because if it was just strictly what makes people money, we've seen this. I keep seeing this where, oh, it's like, oh, this business owner decided to give themselves a salary to give everyone in the company the same salary. And any profit that they make either gets reinvested in the business or gets split up among the people who work there in the form of, like, an end of year bonus. So, like, it's so obvious that does result in better economic output. Like, the businesses perform better. People like going to those businesses. They make a shit ton of money. The only difference, well, I mean, so obviously, aside from them, like, actually being a more successful business model economically, the only other difference is that there isn't a guy at the top who can, like, feel, like, high on his own farts, like, thinking, like, oh, I'm the best guy in the world because I have a $40 billion salary or whatever. Capitalism is inherently oppressive and the state reinforces this often. Yeah. Yes. I mean, the system functioning to funnel money further upward, I guess, is part of it. But like, yeah, I don't know. I guess what we're suggesting here is that capitalism is not just the belief structure that like things are done for the sake of being profitable regardless of their human harm, but things are done mostly with a profit motive in mind, so long as we maintain a lower class. I guess is like the idea of capitalism being that like there must be an owner class and a slave class effectively. But it's like I don't know if that's capitalism at that point, or if like technically speaking, if there's a better word to describe it. Here's another great suggestion or example. Kitty says Nvidia gave away a ton of stock to a bunch of people for a long time, and now they have the most millionaires employed at their company of any other place. They all had a reason to work forward on the investment, and it paid off ultimately. Yeah. I just think, oh yeah, and true. That's another good point. Andy says that there is a corporate tendency to think about short-term profit versus long-term. So yeah, maybe like with the COVID example, people are making money right now. It was hurting their business in the short term when we had lockdown. So they want people out spending money right now, and they don't really care about, or they're not even, they're like the toddlers with the marshmallows. They're not even really able to fully, truly believe in the marshmallow that they might get in the future. Like they might just fundamentally lack the ability to understand long-term consequences, in the sense that, yeah, if you continue to let people get disabled and die at mass levels, then eventually you're not going to have enough workers, or you're going to have like a lot of specialized workers who don't want to do things like flip burgers, but then you have an entire several business models that rely on you having like low level workers to exploit. So a lot of these systems are just going to collapse, and we're just going to have to try to pick up the pieces afterwards. The new corporate tendency is to buy places out and then gut them. Like, because it's, I guess, better in the short term. You get a huge payout initially for like selling off a company. And then, or like, you can liquidate all of the assets of the company and then use it as a tax write-off or something. I don't actually fucking know how it works, but like, why did some company buy up Joanne and then liquidate the whole thing? Like, why did they do that? Why do they make entire movies almost all the way up to the point of completion and then not release them? Like they're getting something. It's like an insurance claim or something. What is it? That they think that they'll get more money from the insurance claim than they will putting the movie out there. And then they don't have to pay forward royalties, of course. Techno-feudalism, disaster capitalism, also a good recommendation. Disaster capitalism. It's because our whole society is for some reason tied to a fictional number on a screen in New York. If profits dip for any reason, the number falls. It would help if there was a qualifier where if there is an economic need, the numbers stay frozen until the need has ended. Yeah, tax write-off for films? Like, yeah, what? Why? Why does that exist? I don't understand. Anyway, it's maddening. It's quite frustrating. Ugh. Ugh. Yawn. I'm so sorry. Sometimes I can't tell if I slept well or not. And also, like, I expended a lot of energy before stream today, and I don't normally do that. So if I end up being, like, super duper sleepy, I'm so sorry. Oh, sure. If there's an economic need for some items and the numbers stay frozen for those items, that could also stop people from profiting off of disasters. Yeah, like they can't jack up the prices for essential goods arbitrarily. Do you have any opinion on the Emilia Perez movie? No, I haven't seen it, and I don't know what it's about or anything. Emilia Perez movie. So the movie is just about Emilia Perez. A Mexican lawyer is offered an unusual job to help a notorious cartel boss retire and transition into living as a woman, fulfilling a long-held desire. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about it. I thought that people said that it was like a clusterfuck. Did people say that it was a clusterfuck? Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez are in this movie. Yeah, I've heard it sucks. Yeah. You should totally watch it. I mean, I do have a list of movies that I need to watch for the channel now. I really need to work on like finishing this video and then thinking about the next thing. But I'm also thinking about like YouTube shorts that I should make and everything. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just like have a lot of content on the brain, and deciding what movie I'm going to watch next, I think, is something that I'm going to mostly give over to polls. Like, I'm going to let polls answer the question. Christine says, well, I cringed a bit in the trailer. You haven't even seen this movie either? And you're asking me if I've seen it? Mobius says, it is a clusterfuck. Okay. Quantum Chaos says a lot of this is basically money laundering. They hide expenses in a failing project like asset development and then kill that project, call it a loss in their taxes, and then reuse those assets. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Polls. I know, Baphomet. You got one thing on your mind. Okay, I don't know how this keeps happening. There is something on YouTube that makes it to where sometimes someone will accidentally comment on my community post instead of on a video. Because just a few minutes ago, someone commented on my community post, but they gave it like a timestamp tag. So it's like this person was watching a video and they commented on the post, and I don't know how that happened. Unrelated to trans, but you should watch all Shrek movies. I've seen, I think, 4 Shrek movies. I only remember 2 Shrek movies, and I'm okay with that. If you like horror, What Keeps You Alive also stars queer characters. I don't like horror. If it has trans themes or something, then I would watch it, but I don't actually like horror movies. I Saw the TV Glow was already kind of like difficult to finish watching the second time, and it was like uncomfortable. And it's like an American psychological horror drama. I could absolutely have done a much more thorough go through. With I Saw the TV Glow, I could absolutely have done a more thorough, like, pointing to every example of the different forms of symbolism, but I wanted to preserve the kind of off the cuff feeling that my videos continue to have, and I just kind of riffed off of my outline. Or really, like, I riffed off of my notes that were kind of vaguely clustered by concept. Dude, if Bobby Hill doesn't come out as trans in the new King of the Hill episodes, I will eat my hat. You're like confident that Bobby Hill trans icon? I didn't actually watch enough of the show as a kid to be able to say. I think I watched like half of season 1 like a decade ago. I had like a Hulu subscription at the time, and I watched half of the first season or so. And a lot of that was stuff that I had seen already. So it's like that must have just been what was on when I was a kid. But yeah, we want Bobby to have blue hair and pronouns. That's what we want. I don't think it's trans man Bobby. I think that the implication is that Bobby is trans femme. Right? Or I don't know what the thought process is. Has someone already made this video? Have people made like videos about how Bobby Hill is secretly trans? I've never seen 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I definitely do feel like I should start like familiarizing myself with other things. There's like, you know how She's the Man, which is another movie that I recently reviewed, is about, well, it's like a riff on Twelfth Night. It's a riff on a Shakespeare. And I'm starting to feel like, oh shit, maybe I do need to read Shakespeare. Because also, like, okay, and you guys know that I have a podcast with Gayfesh and Demon Mama, like, you know, exclamation point Gayfesh if you want the link to that. But we have a podcast where we talk about movies, and we just talked about Star Trek 6. Star Trek 6 with like James Kirk and all, and like Spock and all them. That movie has so many quotes of like Shakespeare mostly, but like so many literary quotes, and I definitely feel like I'm missing out I'm like, I can recognize that you are quoting something, but I don't know what it is or what the original context is, and it makes me feel like I should try to familiarize myself with Shakespeare and some of the classics. Like basically the kind of shit that you would have done if you had gone for an English degree, but I'm just gonna do like in my free time, I guess. I've already been trying to read more. Dude, I read The Bridge to Terabithia again recently. I don't think I have read it since I was a kid, and I finished it at the library sitting underneath a table crying. What a great book. So I just reread that. I was like, let's just do some kid stuff. I also wonder a bit if reading Shakespeare's plays, in terms of like you're reading the script or the screenplay with like the little asides, is that sufficient for me to actually retain the information, or should I try to find like a novelization? And I know that there's plenty of like movies, you know, like my mom had a copy of The Merchant of Venice, like there was a movie, and I could have like, oh, here's a bunch of movies that basically adapt these plays so that you could then get a more visceral experience of the play rather than like, yeah, it's just text on a page with like stage direction, but you don't see like the emotion or like the connection, or the blocking is just not conveyed in the same way if you're just reading it on the page. And obviously the appeal of these things is that each actor can sort of bring their own shit to it. Like, you know, they can bring their own interpretation, their own energy. Bobby either being bisexual or dating a trans person I could see. I feel like King of the Hill could easily do an episode revolving around Hank getting over wanting grandkids or something related to that. Sure. Acting degree also gets you the Shakespeare. Yeah. I'm not going to get an acting degree, though. I could take an English class, but that's different. Sitting under a table crying after reading The Bridge to Terabithia. No. Sitting under a table crying while reading The Bridge to Terabithia. Like it's like, oh, the pivotal moment happens, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna slide under this table. I went through a marathon of the 5 original Planet of the Apes movies, depressingly still relevant. I recently watched the Tim Burton one, the Mark Wahlberg one. Although I understand that that's not really part of like the series. And then I went to start watching the series, but I think it just wasn't on Disney Plus yet. So I want to watch those as well, partially because I just fucking love Andy Serkis. Dude, I will watch anything with Andy Serkis in it. He's so good. Y'all remember when Hank Hill's driver's license said female and he had to go to the DMV and they wouldn't listen to him? It's always fun. Okay, yeah, Planet of the Apes. Oh, the Apes movies. Let's get a Wikipedia, please. So yeah, I must have watched I watched the Tim Burton one from 2001. Then we have Rise of the Planet of the Apes in 2011. So let me see, does Disney Plus actually have that yet? Because I might watch those later. Okay, so they only have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. You have 2 whole movies. I want to see Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Oh my god. Okay, it's on fucking Max. Okay. There we go. I'll watch it on HBO. Theater appreciation class for theater culture. Yeah. Bob from Bob's Burgers is by, but I don't think I've seen that show consistently enough. I think I only watched seasons like 1 through 4 of Bob's Burgers, but yes, that is very, very true that he is bi. He flirts with the guy at the turkey counter for Thanksgiving episode. Quantum Chaos makes the suggestion. Are you basically suggesting that I should go ahead and make the video that the Matrix movies are about being trans? Definitely will get you plenty of transphobe engagement. Yeah, that's on the list of things that I want to do. Like, it's certainly on the list. It's going to be something that takes more time and effort, I think, to really fully flesh out. And for that, considering how old it is, I definitely would want to include interviews and stuff and like remarks from the creators, which I did not do for I Saw the TV Glow. I stopped short of like, I didn't want to know anything about what the creator said, except that people told me that she said it's a trans allegory specifically. So I'm like, okay, knowing that this movie is intended to be a trans allegory and nothing else about what the creator intended, I'm just going to make this video, you know? Like sometimes I watch media analysis stuff that includes those things. You know, like The Last of Us comes out every week when it's coming out. And every week they also release a companion podcast where the creators of the show talk about the ideas. They talk about the symbolism. And so usually when you watch media analysis, or at least the stuff that I watch, people will reference that. They'll be like, oh yeah, so the creator said that this is what they intended, instead of it just being like, here's what we gleaned from the show. Like, did they manage to communicate? Like, you know, if you didn't manage, if you feel like you have to clarify something after the fact, you know, things should either be clear enough in the text or they should be up to interpretation. You know, I feel like you shouldn't need that supplementary information. But I think for something like The Matrix, where what you're looking at is trans allegory content that was made by 2 people who I don't think they knew that they were trans yet. I don't think either of them knew yet. Or maybe like Lana was already like quote unquote cross-dressing in the 90s. But yeah, for these 2 people who like didn't come out as trans until much, much later, including references to author word does assuage the curtains are blue, folks. Yeah, I guess. I truly do still believe. So like, you know, the curtains are blue. Okay, the curtains are blue because blue is a symbol for sadness, or like sometimes it can be a symbol for hope. It depends on what the other context is. And then you have people who barge in and say, not everything has to be symbolism. Sometimes the curtains are just blue. I think as an author, you are either using symbolism intentionally, or you are fumbling about and likely are using symbolism unintentionally and conveying messages that you didn't mean to convey. That's my opinion on symbolism in literary works. I think that if you're not intentionally using symbolism, then probably your own biases are slipping into the text through symbolism that you don't know you're placing. Does that make sense? Are we? I'm old enough to remember Hank Hill's early character design on Beavis and Butthead. Holy cow. We got symbolism in chat too. The symbolism in chat is like we got McDonald's at home thing. Jungian psychology, true. You can go crazy easily questioning if everything is a symbol. I'm also there sometimes, but it boosts creativity. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, okay, so here's where I agree with you, Christine. Here's where I agree that you can go crazy searching for symbolism. When you watch videos from right wingers, when they're, and I don't mean right wingers like right wing political pundits, I mean the huge swath of people on YouTube who talk about like how The Last Jedi ruined everything, or maybe not even The Last Jedi. They're like, this whole new series of Star Wars movies ruined everything because there's a woman and a black man in it. You know, they go so crazy, and like I mostly am exposed to it because other creators have covered this manosphere stuff. Like when you see the kind of insane shit that they look into, they're like, yeah, this black man using the force, like he's stealing all your white women and stuff. Like that's crazy. Like you can definitely go off the deep end with it. But I don't know. I feel like there's a healthy level of it, and that I am always on the line of being healthier, even when I am like seeing symbolism in stuff. Like, okay, there's only 33 of you here. I doubt that that's going to ruin the viewership for my I Saw the TV Glow video. But there's this part where a character feels compelled to sacrifice their life for reasons that they don't really understand. Like they feel like what they're about to do is going to kill them, but on some deeper level, what they're about to do is going to save them. And it should be something that would kill them. But it ultimately opens their eyes to the truth. And it gets them back to somewhere that they needed to be. But like it should have killed them. It should have killed them. Absolutely. And I think that is symbolic of, because we know that I Saw the TV Glow is an allegory for being trans. I think that is a direct allegory to transitioning. Like you are choosing to do something that feels like the end of your life or the end of your world. Like that you're going to have to take your old self and your old name and bury it dead in the ground. And you do it, and it's extreme, and it's mostly based on your intuition, and it's not logical. Like the fact that you feel like you're gonna die, but also this is your only chance to live, is what it feels like when you pursue transition. That is what that feels like. And so that's like one thing, and I Saw the TV Glow that I took some time to dig into it, and I just now have told you what I believe about it. And it is like, it's, I think, directly analogous or directly allegorical, like to what it feels like to come out and to start your physical transition. I don't know. It was such a good movie, you guys. It was really fucking weird, but it was such a good movie. If it serves no purpose, it wouldn't be in the text IMO. True. Like, why did you even say that the curtains are blue if there's not some kind of symbolism attached to it? You could just say the curtains like rustled in the breeze and like, or something. Or like, you didn't even need to mention the curtains if there wasn't anything. You're trying to set a scene. What scene are you trying to set? Like, okay, like even if you omit the color, like did like the curtains stirred in the breeze? Okay, well that tells me the window's open. It tells me that it's a nice breezy day outside. Like what's the setting? What's the tone? It's either being done on purpose or it's being done clumsily. Either way, the symbolism is still in the room. Hi, Mosh. Doing some moving nightmare. Ooh, gross. But some fun, sexy times. High five. Why are you guys sissy napalm pipe un peep? Why are you doing this? Mountain Eucalyptus, welcome in. Kitty Tech says, I am a few pounds of electrified fat piloting a meat mech personally. Yeah, I'm just like I'm a corpse that has been animated by electricity. I am a corpse that has been temporarily possessed by a sentient being. Kitty says, personally, as an artist, when someone tells me my art makes them feel a certain way, regardless of if they are spot on by my intention or if they're totally wrong about, like, based on my intention, I just say, that's very interesting. Even if it wasn't my intent, my art did make someone feel a certain way. It's kind of like the concept that every person not only remembers a moment differently, but they literally experience their own reality at all times. We each focus on different aspects of the world, creating our universe. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And so that's, I guess, part of why I am more of an art consumer and less of an art creator. But yeah, it's really interesting to be like, yeah, I put like a certain energy into this. I felt a certain way when I was creating this art. I wanted to feel, or like I was expressing that I felt like this. But then when other people perceive it, like, yeah, I don't think there is necessarily anything like completely wrong if someone is interpreting something in a way that I didn't think about. And I might discover like, oh shit, I did make a story that is comparable to, like, I don't think that most people mean to be copying Pocahontas when they make a Pocahontas movie. You know, like, I do not think that James Cameron was sitting there thinking, yeah, let's make fucking Pocahontas, but like blue. I think that stuff like that happens on accident all the time. Yeah, like fiction being like unique to the individual consuming it. It's not like a mass-produced product that everybody is going to experience the same way. That makes sense. I kind of get that. I'm a dark entity that took over this earthly body and now has buyer's remorse. True. Dorian says there are no accidents or coincidences in literature or art, arguably. Just as a thought experiment, this is interesting. Makes me want to revisit Foucault. There are no accidents or coincidences in literature or art. Well, so I will say, like, you know, when I'm watching a movie, I'm like, everything that happens in this movie was a deliberate choice. You know, every moment of this movie cost thousands of dollars to produce, so every decision that they make is intentional. I think the less collaborative the art form, the more likely it is for there to be mistakes or what did you say? You said no accidents or coincidences. I do believe if you're like an author and you have an editor, probably there is stuff that happens on accident. Like, probably there is stuff that's just coincidental and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about the fact that that is reference to this other thing, or like, oh yeah, that I mentioned this in a previous chapter or whatever. If you are not keeping extensive notes on things, I can see that being like, you know, things can slip in by accident or repetition can occur or aspects of a person's personal ideology could leak through where they don't intend for it to or something. Explain Tommy Wiseau. Listen, my explanation for Tommy Wiseau is that he is a self-styled auteur. That's my. He thought all those decisions were good. He thought that they were good decisions. I don't know what to tell you. Absolutely crazy movie to see just one time. Just watch it one time. Kitty says, I'm an extremely advanced android with self-replication, evolving code, and variable capabilities. If my system wasn't so unstable, there would be no problems. I've been stuck writing a story in my head where humanity has made it to the singularity, then got tired of being digital and built meat mechs for themselves anyway. That's funny. Holly says you're basically saying the anti-Semitism of the goblins in Harry Potter could have been considered a mistake in the book, but to include it in the movie must have been like there were a lot more decisions that went into it. Like you could have fundamentally changed the thing and just not had goblins. You could have just had regular people in the bank, right? But they chose to follow through with that decision. I think so. I do think that there is a possibility you could say that you could engage with a racist stereotype or a racist caricature without knowing that that's what you're doing if you were uneducated about the history of that thing. Like, I had a similar thing happen with like my old Discord server, which is still technically alive. We had a leveling thing. We had a bot that would keep track of how many messages you had sent, and you would level up periodically. And you didn't really get anything for leveling up. You would just get like a different color name. And the different colors were associated with a different fantasy creature. So like, you know, fairy or troll or whatever. And like goblin and golem, I think people called out both of those as potentially problematic. And at the time, I thought, this is the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard, but I changed it. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I changed it mostly because I never, ever, ever wanted to hear about it again. And it was easy for me to just change it and move on with my life, right? Sometimes that is, you have a self-interest, like a self-interested reason. I'm gonna just mute this because it's gonna come in like 5 times in a row. Thank you so much for those memberships. I appreciate that. But there is like a self-interest sometimes in just being like, I never, ever, ever want to hear about that. So a golem it was originally this idea of like a creature that would protect the village or something. I don't know. It's a very specifically Jewish cultural thing, and it has been absorbed into the broader zeitgeist as like a generic fantasy creature kind of thing. So I was just like, whatever. I don't really care about this. It's annoying that I have to change it, but also like I haven't had to think about it in years, and I can avoid people claiming that I'm being anti-Semitic by using Jewish tropes or Jewish elements. Like basically what I was doing was participating in stripping this Jewish story of its meaning and context. So I just decided to change it, and I just didn't know that. I thought it was just a giant made of stone. Yeah, well, we believe that because it has been absorbed into the mainstream zeitgeist and stripped of all meaning, which is cultural appropriation. Like that's, you just had to change the color of the golem. I changed the name of the tier from golem to something else. I think it was that I was trying to color match. So I had one that was like gray, and I named it golem. But maybe I changed either the name or the name and the color. I can't remember what I did. But I took the word golem out of the question, out of the equation. I don't remember what I replaced it with. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Carol DeBuris, for the 5 gifted memberships. I hope that those people enjoy the memberships. I don't have a lot available for members right now, but typically like the biggest benefit that you guys get right now is like whenever I upload a video, you guys get it usually like the day before, because I'll often upload the video in the evening, and then I'll finish getting the thumbnail and stuff ready, and I'll upload it the next day. So members, you usually do get to see the main videos that are coming out like a day before they actually come out. That's the main benefit. You also get access to some polls that are for members only, and some content that's mirrored off of Patreon. I just also post to memberships. So enjoy all of that, as well as your custom emojis. Can we get some custom emojis in chat? There's some of like the my little dragon emoji guys. They're my little black and green dragon guys. I know that there's some. Let me see some. Dorian says the elements of the art that are unconsciously created by the author/artist are not accidental or coincidental because they are determined by that person's psyche, experience, trauma, etc. Well, I mean, I guess you're using the word accidental or coincidental in a different way than I am. Like, because basically what I'm trying to say is, like, either the author is aware of the symbolism that they're putting into the work and they're doing it on purpose, or they are unaware of the symbolism that they are unintentionally imbuing into the work. So, like, either you're doing it deliberately with a sense of craft and care, or you're doing it not deliberately, clumsily, and revealing things about yourself in the process that you didn't mean to reveal. If that makes sense. Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to... The distinction that I draw when I'm talking about symbolism in art. Like, either you're doing it on purpose and you're doing it with a craft, or you're doing it unintentionally, you know, not thoughtfully, in a way that is clumsy. But there is no such thing as a work... there's no such thing as a work that's completely bereft of symbolism. It just does not exist, in my opinion. Carell says that the golem was a mystical creature in the old Jewish quarter in Prague. That is good to know. Yes. By the way, y'all, if and when you donate, if you're interested in getting this number, which is currently at 20, up to 100, which is going to help me buy groceries in 2 days, donate directly on the website. That way YouTube doesn't take a huge chunk of your money. J-Lock agrees that it is happening subconsciously, like when water equals purity when you were raised as Catholic or something. Sure, yeah. Like white being good and black being bad, and like how that has racist undertones to it. Quantum Chaos, thank you for the $15 donation. Says, I'm sick, so I have nothing witty to say here. Well, I appreciate your donation anyway. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. That brings our stream total up to $35. $35.00. Going to get some groceries in 2 days. But only if I can afford it. If I can't afford groceries, I'll just ask my partner. But it's like a little bit cringe when I run out of money. Accidentally implying something you didn't actually mean is guaranteed to happen at some point if you communicate at all. True. Yeah, I do hope you feel better, Quantum Chaos. Being sick is so garbage. Hope you feel better soon. Also, everybody, if you're in here and you have not yet hit the like button, please hit the like button. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. You don't have to donate. You can just hit the like button. Thank you. I'm trying to do a bunch of drugs. Well, good luck with that, Quantum. I think I might need to get more water soon. More water soon. Recently got my EBT card and it's been great, TBH. Oh, good lord. I am so grateful that I had Snap. Like, when my partner and I separated, I was able to get on Snap, and it was genuinely like a huge help. It was a huge help. And when you get it, you get like the back pay from when you initially applied. So you, like, you know, it took like 2 months, and I just got like 2 months worth of money to spend on groceries all of a sudden. And it was wonderful. Like, allowed me to try some things, like, you know, just because I had more money than I usually had at that time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like try a nice cheese like once or twice a month, and it was great. Yeah, Snap is so useful. It's so crazy that they're trying to cut this program that has genuinely like been the difference between being healthy and being like super unhealthy for so many Americans and their kids. Jesus Christ. There will always be some vestige of Mormonism in me that is impossible to remove. I'm so sorry. It's unfortunate. It's true. It was a huge bureaucratic nightmare trying to get the card, and I still need to submit more freaking documents, but at least I got it. Yes, it's a huge deal. I always thought white/black was for day/night and being afraid of the dark/unknown. I mean, it's like... I'm not going to claim... so all kinds of symbolism are context dependent to some extent, right? But also, like, why is it... Like, you can't ignore... Why do we call ourselves white? You know, like, why do we call ourselves white? Why don't we call ourselves pink or something? You know, why is it white? Because white is associated with purity, because white is associated with, like, innocence, because white is associated with the daytime and goodness and holiness, right? Black people, for the most part, aren't black. They used to be, like, real dark, right? If you see, there are certain people still today who are, like, dark. Obviously, in America and other countries that traded in slavery, like, there are a lot of mixed people or, like, black folks with lighter skin. So maybe once upon a time, it kind of made more sense to call black people black. But black is also associated. So, like, nighttime is scary. Nighttime is dangerous. So even if we're just saying, oh, it seems like it's value neutral because night versus day, like, okay, but daytime is considered, like, safe, nighttime is considered dangerous, and we still have, like, this idea that is pervasive. So, like, you know, basically, whatever the origins some term has, the meanings tend to linger. So that means that we do have to be aware of when we use black and white symbolism, especially if your work is racially diverse, which it should be. Broke white, woke ham sandwich race. True. I am ham sandwich color. Later, Mira. Have a good night. I got Catholic brainworms still, it blows. I'm so sorry. I'm really glad that I at least grew up with a fairly hands-off religious upbringing. I, like, wanted to go to church because I wanted to play with my cousin. Not because I cared about church. And, oh, like, there was the nice lady who would give me candy out of her purse. True. Ugh. Yawn. I'm such a sleepy boy. I've also been standing for a huge part of the day. Normally, I, like, sit for the first part of the day. I always could sit during stream if I wanted to. I'm just choosing not to. Okay, I do have to replace my water. I'm just going to take a quick minute to go do that. I might go ahead and put on music just in case I'm gone for longer than a strict minute. I just want to, like, really need to chug some water. Oh, you know what? I might squeeze some honey directly into my face, too. That would be yummy. Okay, I will be right back. Wah! I'm back. You can't stop me from coming back. Hi, everybody. So, yeah, exactly. Stay hydrated. See? Stay hydrated. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yummy. Y'all do anything cool for Pride? Is anybody else just feeling like not particularly celebratory? I mean, to be fair, I've never been a real big Pride person. I went last year to my first ever Pride parade. I had never been before. I've known that I'm queer since I was like 14. I think maybe I knew that I probably would have said bisexual at age 13. So I knew that I was queer starting at age 13, but I had never been to a Pride parade until last year. And I mostly did it for my younger sibling. I was mostly like, my younger sibling deserves to go to a Pride event. I haven't made any plans. I'm kind of scared to go to any Pride stuff. Truly, yeah. And you're in Missouri, so I get that. Like, I'm in Oregon and it should be safe enough up here. I think this week on Friday, there's Trans Pride Seattle, which my friend told me about and kind of sort of invited me to, but I'm like, there's no way because my partner still has my car. Like, it's a several hour drive to Seattle, and so I would have to do that all in one day. It would be too late in the evening for me to get there. I could go if I had my car, but again, I would be like driving, 3+ hours to go to this event and then drive home, I'm going to a parade this weekend, but demonstrations have been fittingly taking most of my free time. Okay, you were like, you've been going to demonstrations. I feel like that's similar. I mean, even if the demonstration isn't specifically queer related, but you've been out there doing stuff. I'm just like not, I don't know. I'm not interested. I just don't, I'm not a big, I'm not a big outdoors person. I want to be more of an outdoors person. I desperately want to be a person who goes hiking. And when I have my car, it's possible that I will just start scoping out like some close hiking places and then be like, I'm going to drag my partner to this on Saturday. I want to be, I just am not. I'm not a crowds person. I do Renaissance Festival like a couple times a year. I think it's going to be a little bit weird this season, like, because I typically go all 7 weekends of Kansas City Ren Fair, and I'm just not, we're going to try to go one weekend, but we're not going to go all of them. So, like, that's my big crowds thing for the year. How has the gardening been going? I don't have my car, and so I basically haven't been to the garden in a while, which it sucks. I do want to go out there. I'm just going to have to fucking do it at some point. I don't know. Okay, for real, good night this time. Good night, Mosh. I said good day, sir. I went to a big city pride with friends and a small town pride with my boyfriend in Pennsylvania. It was good. I enjoyed dressing slutty goth for pride, and it was my first pride since getting top surgery. Yay. Yay! Oh, that's fun. That's fun. You look like someone who would go hiking. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I have my staff. I think it's all the way in the other room. But I have a staff that I recently fitted a ferrule on it so I can like stab the ground when I'm walking in the woods. I feel like a person who would go hiking. I really had a hard time recovering from the move, and I'm still trying to recover. And also, like, I had COVID in October, so it is entirely possible that what I've been dealing with is like a relatively mild but still not fun form of long COVID. I don't know. It's been tough. Now that I'm passing and post top surgery, I'm cool going out without a shirt, but geez, people are weird. Oh yeah, having previously worn pasties to experience being outside without a shirt. Yeah, that's so fucked up. Getting like sexually harassed in a misogynist way when you're like, I'm a trans man and I'm just trying to just trying to be out here without a shirt on. I just want to know what it's like to be a man without a shirt on, and I am at Pride and not able to escape misogynist harassment. That's so annoying. I'm sorry. What is going on in the future? What are we thinking about, like, what we're doing for the rest of the summer? I'm anticipating that we're about to enter fire season. Technically, the fires have already started, but like the dry season here in Oregon starts like in July. So we've had a little bit of rain this past week. We had a little bit of thunder. It was nice. But it is about to enter like the dry season, and it's gonna be like that until when? Like October? It's gonna be start raining in like October, maybe November. In my experience, it's harder to not keep the nipples. So here's the thing. I think in the UK, if you're having your surgery done on the NHS and stuff, a lot of the time they will require you to just get it the way that everybody else does, where you get the nipple graft and everything with top surgery. But in the United States, because we have fucking private insurance, sometimes the insurance says, oh, the nipples are a cosmetic procedure and we won't pay for that part. So for Americans, if you want nipples after your top surgery, you sometimes have to just fork over $1,000 or more, potentially, just for that one aspect of the procedure. Where they are already doing all of this shit to you. Like, they're already doing all these things. But yeah, $1,000 out of pocket. Lots of lesbians used to go topless at Old London Pride back in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I feel like topless, like topless demonstration is a tried and true feminist thing. Keyhole is only an option for people who have like almost no breast tissue. Like, keyhole doesn't really work for people who have anything more than an A cup, unfortunately. Are we done with like momentous Supreme Court cases for a while? Can we at least feel confident that we're going to be done with that? Are they out of session yet? Can I not have to hear about the ancient tribunal meeting once again? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, the Supreme Court's term typically ends in late June or early July, so they will be done soon. Thank Christ. I'm tired of hearing about these priests dictating what happens in my country. It's crazy. Yeah, hopefully we're done with SCOTUS. That's what I'm saying, is like, I'm tired of hearing about this shit. I'm done hearing about you people. So at least we have that to look forward to, and they won't be back in until like October. Trying to think what I have coming up soon. I'm not sure. I was like gonna make plans this weekend, but I don't know if I can really make plans this weekend because my partner might be like trying to buy a car, you know? Wouldn't it be cool if SCOTUS went on recess forever? Yeah. If they were just like, we don't need to do this anymore. We don't need like a council of unelected priests to dictate what is going on. in the country, in a country of 300 million voting age adults or whatever. What is the population? USA population. Yeah, 340 million people total. And we have 9 Supreme Court justices deciding what gets to happen to all of those people. It's like at a certain point, it just doesn't scale. You know, like it can't, like you can't keep governing this many people like that. Like it's why we have states, and it just seems so fucking stupid to have, like, you know, we have states and we have them with their elected officials creating these laws and things, and then we get things up to the Supreme Court and they're like, yeah, no, but we've decided that you don't get to do that, or whatever, you know, whatever the situation is. Like, oh, okay, cool. 9 people in charge, and functionally it's more like 5 people telling 300 million people what's best for them. It's like, yeah. I think it's on paper an interesting system. It's like on paper the checks and balances should work in a certain way. But yeah, denying medical care to kids is totally constitutional. Yeah, like we completely ignoring all of the studies, completely disregarding all of the experts, and, you know, not taking into account the opinions of the people who are being directly affected. Yeah. Yeah, and of course each state has its own Supreme Court too. Generally things go through state Supreme Court before going to the federal one. Like, why did we decide it was a good idea to have this big of a chunk of land? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we came from a place, Europeans came from a place where government only had like a certain number of people and a certain amount of land that they needed to deal with. Like, they looked out on this great expanse, you know, going ever westward, and they were like, you know what we're going to do is have all of that under the purview of one government. It's like, I don't know why we thought that was tenable. I don't know. What are all these studies even for? What is all this education work and money going into if the studies are ignored? Right, because, like, and I've said this before, Republican politicians and sometimes Republican voters do not actually care about what is true. And actually, I think that this is true of like a lot of Democrats as well, if we're being honest. Like a lot of Democrats and Democratic voters. What is true is kind of not the point. Each side has an ideological position that they want to impose. And like, it's largely not based on facts. It's largely based on feelings, right? Like sometimes as a left-wing person, you'll be talking to a right-winger and you'll find out that they actually are pretty generous people. They do want to help folks. They do tip well. But they are only willing to give to people that they personally feel good vibes with or who they personally care about. So, you know, they would vote against a minimum wage law that said something like, you know, pizza delivery workers are going to be paid a fair minimum wage of $15 an hour. As opposed to right now, which is that they're tipped workers who can make as little as $2.13 an hour. When I was delivering pizza, I made $4 an hour when I was delivering the pizzas. It was $7.25 when I was in the shop, like, you know, filling up the containers or whatever. Like, you know, we had like this thing that gets drizzled on the pizza. Okay, go fill a bunch of those bottles. So these people will vote against policies like a minimum wage, but they will tip their pizza guy $50. And so they are generous. They just want to personally vibe check every person that gets to experience their personal generosity. Like, they only want to personally help people who they evaluate are of good character and deserving. This is the problem with relying on charity to take the place of social welfare programs, is that you have a bunch of people who want to be able to personally decide whether you get critical assistance based on what is ultimately arbitrary, vibes-based, whether they like you or not kind of decision making, as opposed to just guaranteeing that all people, like, this is what like liberals are about, is like liberals mostly believe in taking care of people so long as it doesn't personally have anything to do with them, for the most part. Like, they have a slightly better belief structure in that they feel like people deserve things most of the time just because they're people. But they do believe it's pretty easy to lose those privileges, you know? Like, they do look down on addicts and homeless people and things like this. Yeah, it's means testing on a personal scale. Yeah. So, like, liberals in general have an ideology that, like, people, there should be a higher minimum wage, right? But they don't, they believe in means testing to a degree because they don't believe in universal basic income for the most part. So their willingness to be charitable and even to expand the social safety net, it's still rooted in this idea that you have to earn it. Liberals will still trip up if you tell them that people are just as productive and the economy is better and more stimulated when you do a UBI. They will still say things like, but what if somebody just decides to stop working? Like, what if somebody tries to live outside their means or whatever? Basically, what if some people don't deserve it? Or what if some people squander this gift? And it's like, that doesn't matter. We're trying to make sure that everybody's basic needs are covered. And, like, you still believe on some level that you should have to earn it. Fucking true. Yes, they'll be generous with a pizza delivery driver with good vibes. Read white and straight passing. That's literally the situation. Like, when I am telling that story, I'm thinking of a specific situation in which I knew some rich people and I knew how at least one of them viewed politics and the kinds of generosity that they would engage in. And it was a white male straight passing delivery driver. Yeah, if you have universal basic income, homelessness tends to go away and addiction issues decrease. Yeah, but people think that if you are in that situation, you deserve it. And they think like, oh yeah, well, we're going to give you a place to live and all this, and you're just going to throw it away and do drugs again. Like, it's pretty fucked up. I feel like so Quantum Chaos says America/Canada should realistically each be 6 or 7 countries. Right. It's a huge amount of space to try to cover. And it's a hugely wide diversity of views. Now, do I think that we should, so if the United States or Canada or both were to split into like 6 discrete nation states, I agree that we should still have like mostly free travel and trade like the European Union. We could engage in something like the European Union to where, like, you know, it's relatively easy to go live in another, in this case, country, like, you know, in another, I don't know, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, in Europe, you can be like, I am a citizen of France and I've decided I'm going to go live in Spain for a while. And you can just kind of do that. I think that it should be just as easy to get around and everything. But yeah, and it's because if you happen to live in Alabama when the great United States empire falls and you happen to live in Alabama, I don't think that that means that you should not have access to the kind of standard of living that people have in the New York province. Like, I think that you should have the ability to go somewhere where you will have healthcare, for example. Uh, and then we'll just have a bunch of desolate states. My city made signs deterring people from giving money to the homeless. It's so needlessly cruel. Yeah, that fucking sucks, dude. I'm sorry. Quebec almost did leave Canada, and 49% voted to go in the referendum, and Alberta is talking about leaving now. Well, that's a nightmare. Alberta is the fucking conservative one, isn't it? One of the conservative ones. Kitty says, I know the feeling being a delivery driver, even delivering cannabis in Arizona. As I started to trend into more feminine dress, my tips invariably went down on a girly day. Oh, that's crazy. I wouldn't have expected that. I guess, like, it's like you are just, the more visibly trans you were, the less money you got. Something like that. There should definitely be a 1 to 2 year where you get a grace period where all the cool people move to New Ontario, Yorkachusetts. New Ontario, Yorkachusetts. Yeah. Oh, that's funny, Trans Cat Dad. Riff says that truth for most people is definitely vibes based or based on, quote, fundamental knowledge, and facts against those, quote, truths have to be wrong because vibes. Reagan and others convincing everyone that everything is a personal moral failing has been so fucking detrimental, truly. Katie says, generally, I just think we should stop with the USA and just have the 50 countries we already have pretty much set up. Convert the New England into just 1 or 2 countries, though, and just have all open trade borders. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why I think that it might be better to do like groupings of countries, like coalitions of states, coalitions of states instead of each state by state being its own country, is partially because I don't think each state has its own like ability to produce enough to buy shit. Like Alabama, for example, like what do they make in Alabama? What could they put? How are the people there going to have jobs in a slightly disconnected economy? Like, I don't know. And also, I feel like it's more likely for progressivism to lean in if we have like a slightly higher population state lumped in with some lower population states. I don't know. This is all speculative, of course. You know, we don't know what the best answer would be, and no matter what, it's like not gonna be an ideal situation. Like, our current situation isn't ideal. Whatever we move into next is not going to be ideal. There might not even be such a thing as an ideal form of governance. Like, they all have their own failings, right? Like, a pure democracy means that if a group is only 2% of the population, all you have to do is convince 51% of people that those people don't deserve rights, or that they're going to attack your children or eat your dog or something. So a pure democracy rule doesn't work. A Republican democracy, like what we have, also obviously doesn't work for obvious reasons. A dictatorship doesn't work. I mean, it's very efficient in some ways. Like, things get done very quickly in a dictatorship. But we've decided that that is not as ideal because ultimately the decisions are being made by like only one person or a small handful of people, and the people don't feel represented. Okay, cool. But like, you could just run down the list of every political system we have ever had on this earth, and they all have issues. I think that the government styles that tend to erupt on archipelago island nations are some of the most egalitarian forms, and like probably something that we would like that we should study. But I do not think that any of these systems are bereft of the potential for exploitation, or that like that there is any such thing as a system that makes everybody happy. Alabama exports racism. True. Most of the red states would just become third world terrorist states, and someone else says, yeah, would become. Jeez. Parliament is probably the best that you'll see in a large country, as much as I would genuinely prefer a social anarchist society. Well, I mean, basically, what I'm suggesting is that we shouldn't have large countries. I think we should have much smaller countries. But yeah, again, it's all speculative. We don't know what would be a good system. I just feel like there are some obvious things we can point to of like, this isn't working here and now. Yeah, it's so interesting. This poll is not performing as well. It's not getting nearly as many votes. Although I wasn't really paying attention to, oh, can I look at analytics for posts? I can look at analytics for posts. How was this other one doing? 2 hours into it. Oh, no, wait, yeah. No, it doesn't have analytics in the same way. I can't see like how many views this thing got in 2 hours or whatever. Yeah, I don't have that. Dang it. Black Mirror had a great episode about AI this most recent season. Not going to say more, but it was good though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of. Oh, weird. Oh, I had a little surge in views today. Oh, because I posted a short. I posted a YouTube short. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I can kind of see a day by day breakdown of views on the posts. If you group all the small states into one state, might work combined with a parliamentary system with hard rules. I just don't see how we're gonna, like, again, I could see us forming something like a European Union. Goodbye, quantum chaos. Feel better. But yeah, I don't know. I think separating into 50 states would not be the best idea, but because we would be abandoning a lot of people in the red states unless like the blue state governments in their sovereignty decided to fund people moving into their new countries. But I just see it as much more likely that we will see coalitions of states where Texas is going to try to stand by itself, of course. But like, Florida might join coalition with like Georgia and like a couple other states right there in that area. You'll probably see in New England forming like, New York City, Massachusetts, blah blah blah, all that, like that they will probably all merge because those are all relatively similar places. God fucking knows what's going to happen with all the states in the Midwest. Like Ohio may or may not join with any of its neighbors. It might decide to go do its own thing. Of course, you've heard me say before, the Great Republic of California. I think that if the United States government were to dissolve, or if there was a sense of no confidence or something, then I think Washington, Oregon, California are like naturally allies. You've got Arizona in the way. Otherwise, I would include New Mexico in that coalition. Maybe though, like maybe New Mexico would just be like, hey, let's like I don't know, let's create like a panhandle like with Oklahoma so that we can be connected to California. I don't know. Divvy the country into 5 chunks and then the flyover zone in the middle gets caged off. Let's say the flyover zone in the middle is like a farming only zone. Like, you know, basically let's just focus all of our actual civilization on the outskirts and then have like the only people who live in the Midwest are people who are preserving the natural wetlands and farming food. New England, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. The Erie, Ontario corridor. Delaware can come too. New Texaco and Calavada. No, but that's the thing though, is like, I don't think that New Mexico is going to go with Texas unless you're suggesting that Texas does a hostile takeover of New Mexico. But New Mexico, like, I know trans people who are moving to New Mexico. They are going there specifically because it's a progressive place. And I just think it's real shit if they were to get sucked up into Texas, you know? I think it's more likely that New Mexico would try to join with, I guess they could join with Colorado. If we could get Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada. Hold on, let me look at a map. I'm trying to get them all contiguous, you see. Yes, Ty Turner moved to New Mexico from, I think that he lived in Arkansas and then lived in Oklahoma for a little bit and then moved to New Mexico. I want a really big map. Give me a large map. Large. Okay. Man, I just feel bad for New Mexico. Okay, so like, hold on, this one. So we've obviously got Washington, Oregon, California. Boom. That's an easy group up. Nevada may or may not want to be included in this just because, like, listen, Nevada doesn't have a lot going on for it as in terms of its economy, and it would benefit it. And also it's like I think people view Nevada as kind of like a lawless place and like the sort of libertarianism of having legal prostitution and everything. Like, it just feels like this could be a natural team up. Okay, it feels like this could be just like this is a completely natural team up to make here. New Mexico, I wish that New Mexico was adjoining, but it's not. And Arizona, I think, is also fairly conservative. Kari Lake is from Arizona, if I remember correctly. Utah obviously is a wash. I mean, there are a decent number of people who live in Salt Lake, but they are also like, that's where the Mormons are. Nevada is horribly conservative despite Vegas, maybe. Obviously Idaho. There's like this entire eastern side of Oregon that wishes it was part of Idaho. I feel like we shouldn't. We should be like, yeah, if you want to go live there, we'll subsidize you moving, or Idaho can subsidize you moving. But like, we want all of these beautiful lands over here. We want all of that. We want to be a we want to protect these wildlands. Lux, you sound like a DM creating a map for your new campaign right now. I'm okay with it. Like, I guess this is the kind of thought process and world building that you go through when you're sitting there trying to figure out like your post-apocalyptic story, like Panem. You know, when Suzanne Collins is writing Panem, you know, we know that District 11 is like over here, because it's a coal mining community in the Appalachian Mountains, and they have to get on a high-speed train and shoo, and they go through the Rocky Mountains, and so the capital is probably based in Utah. But anyway, like, that's just funny. I feel like Colorado would be stranded. No, so what I'm saying right now is that Colorado and New Mexico are right there next to each other, and they're both like liberal places. You know, so like Colorado and New Mexico, that's an obvious coalition right there. And then I think this entire area is kind of a wash. Like, okay, Montana's fairly conservative. Well, Montana's fairly conservative. It's like, okay, so Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas. It's like all of those are connected and they're all very conservative. I truly think that Texas is going to be like, fuck you, I'm Texas. I don't need anybody. I'm not going to do any coalitions. We already have our own electrical grid that's cut off from everywhere. We're good. That's what I think is going to happen with Texas, okay? I would like to believe that there are enough non-conservatives in these places that they wouldn't join this fucked up coalition, but like, I'm sorry, I'm from here and it's sad. Illinois, however, they're based, they're cool. Minnesota, also based and cool. I don't know anything about Wisconsin, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I am going to make a kind of ballpark assumption that maybe Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois could join together and they could be a little coalition there. Maybe Wisconsin could like appropriate this part of Michigan finally. Ohio, oh man, Ohio is a problem being so close to, like, okay, all of these are just going to become one thing. Like Maine, all of this bullshit, maybe even Pennsylvania. I don't know. Pennsylvania is a little bit insane too. It's a little bit like, it's one of those could tip either way, conservative or progressive. But like, I feel like if they were like, yo, you can just go to Ohio, then maybe they'll just go to Ohio and Pennsylvania can become part of this up here. But otherwise, we're just looking at like basically, you know, you could technically maybe include Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey in this, but like all of that is like one country. Virginia, West Virginia, like all of this shit is pretty fucking bullshit. Like, it's crazy how much of the land space of the country is like gerrymandered into being super right-wing and Republican. Minnesota should annex the Midwest and force us all to eat Tim Wall's hot dish. True. Oh, Kitty, are you agreeing with me that it's almost certainly that the capital from Hunger Games is in Utah? Wisconsin is purple. Just take us, please. What does this part of the U.S. call itself? The Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Dakotas area? Yeah, I agree that basically just calling it like the Rockies is accurate. Although the Rocky Mountain Range, surprisingly, goes all the way into New Mexico. Like, technically, the Rocky Mountain Range is like all the fucking way down here. So, you know, but that area is like certainly the Rocky Mountains, like, you know, Utah, Wyoming. Well, yeah, I think that it would be fair to call them that. I'm not really usually in the habit of world building, so names would be something that I would probably deal with much later down the line. Make it a no man's land from the western borders of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado to the east border of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Arkansas, and the north border of Texas, and force all the denizens to live within the progressive zone so they will become indoctrinated. Yeah, we're just going to clear out this entire central area. We're going to treat this entire central area like it's like it has the sea in it again, and we're just not going to go there. It's just like anybody's game. Who the fuck knows? Okay, so here's the thing too. I actually think a lot of the states in here, like the shitty states in the middle, are going to basically from the tippy tip of Florida up to Ohio, all the way over to Idaho. Obviously, with the exception of like Colorado, New Mexico, like all of this entire fucking area is, I guess, yeah, except for Illinois too. Like, let me make sure I'm swerving past Illinois. All of that chunk of area, it would be an enormous landmass, and it would have a lot of like power if they were able to coalesce. But I don't think they're going to be able to. Like, I just think that it's very likely that the liberal states will be smart enough to build coalitions. So yeah, you'll have your Cascadia over here, and you'll have your New England over here, and you might have like the Colorado, New Mexico coalition right here. But I am actually deeply uncertain as to whether any of the rest. Okay, and then obviously like maybe like a coalition between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois. Either way, either that or they are both going to be like liberal islands who might be concerned about invasion from their neighboring countries. But I do kind of genuinely think that a lot of these countries would want to be independent and they would be unwilling to join coalition. Can you imagine fucking Ron DeSantis joining coalition with Alabama or Georgia? I mean, I guess in an expansionist sense, maybe if they're like, oh, actually, I want to conquer my neighboring state, maybe. That's the problem with like splitting into different countries is like then we have to be concerned about territorial disputes and like acquisition of resources. Yeah, the entire Midwest gets renamed Teenage Wasteland and thus becomes it. Yeah. Just cut Florida off, truly. Yeah, the ageism of presidents must be younger than 70. I saw someone talking about this. I suspect South Illinois would break off and join Missouri. Yeah, maybe. There is no way. I don't think there's any way that we completely maintain these lines if the federal government falls apart. I do think that there will necessarily be some rewriting of the maps and acquisition of territory or dispute over territory. There's no way that there wouldn't be. Yeah, don't worry about Florida. It'll be underwater soon. It's true. The Louisiana coastline, like if you look at this map, the Louisiana coastline does not look like that anymore. It just straight up does not look like that anymore. It's just receded enough that it's visible on a map. But yeah, I saw someone talking about how like you can't tell me that like the Democrats are looking out for our future when the people, like half the people, obviously they were exaggerating, but they're like half the people that they get into office die in the process of like serving in their role. And it's like, yeah, what are we supposed to do for the next couple of years before you get replaced? There's been there's like two Democratic Congress people who've died. Definitely one, but I think two. I'm terrible with this kind of information at this point in my life. I declared the rule earlier that you can't use age as an excuse if you are younger than the president. What do you mean? Like you can't use age as an excuse that like you were not doing a good job or... Oh God, someone is live tweeting something. Ageism ends up intrinsically tied to ableism, I think. I mean, yes, I think so. I've made the argument before that basically all forms of prejudice have somewhere close to the root some form of ableism. Like when people talk shit about women, it's usually like because they're stupid or because they're physically weak. Same thing, you know, when racists are talking about black people, they're talking about how unintelligent they are and how they're only good for working in the fields. You know, they say insane shit like that. So I do think with ageism, so there's two different forms of ageism as well. There's the you are a child and therefore you can't vote, or whatever. And that is based in their competence, the idea that they're not competent, like that they are not intelligent enough or that they don't know better. And then when it comes to elderly ageism, yeah, it's like you're not able. And like ultimately, being old is just being disabled by old age. So it functionally is the same as ableism in that way, where it's like, oh, yeah, you know, he can't get around the way he used to. He needs help. Or like, you know, oh, her memory isn't what it used to be or whatever. But I think that the problem we have is like, it's much easier for you to make decisions that will destroy the world if you know that you're going to die soon. So I'm sitting here going like, I don't know, man. It doesn't even feel like it would be enough to be like, if you're going to be over a certain age, then you have to have kids or grandkids. Like you have to have some personal vested interest in the future. But I also think that these people would literally feed their grandchildren into a wood chipper if they thought that it was going to maintain their position. So I don't know that that's actually enough either. Dude, if one more Gen X or boomer bitches to me about corruption in the government, I'm going to bitch slap them. Why did you spend 75 years creating it? Like, seriously, I wish people could just own that they were the ones that fucked this all up, not 20 years of millennials being involved. Mountain says, according to the press gallery.house.gov, there are 3 Congress members who've died recently, and they will be replaced in September, November this year. Okay, so we're 3 votes down. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. So dry. Delicious. To some extent, you have to trust in other people's humanistic values in order to rely on them, and I, for one, just don't. I mean, yes. I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is there are a lot of people in charge of things who do not have a humanistic values fundamental. Like they don't at the end of the day, their values are like protecting my own family or protecting my own interests or making myself money, which is why, again, there's like this thing that comes up periodically where we complain about these rich women, like these rich wives of Republican men who have definitely had abortions, or those Republican men have had mistresses who've had abortions. And like that, those people will vote against abortion. They'll even campaign against abortion. And the women will do it too, knowing that they've had an abortion because they think, oh, well, my thing's different. You know, that wasn't the same. I'm not using it as birth control. I just already had kids and my contraception failed. And it's like, do you think that that's not the same fucking story of like a whole bunch of women who you're trying to strip away the right to? But they don't have to care, these rich white women, because they can always afford to drive somewhere, or really more realistically, they can always afford to fly somewhere, or they'll have a private doctor flown into them where they can have the procedure done. So for them, they're never actually grappling with a lack of access for themselves. And they're just so self-interested, they do not care what happens to other people. Oh, I didn't hear about this. Ember says, I'm having schadenfreude over that GOP rep who couldn't get an abortion because of her own law. I didn't hear about that. That's very funny. That is very, very, very funny. Kitty says, a 72, 74, and 76-year-old are currently ruining the world, and an 86-year-old Muslim was like, let's seriously not get it twisted. For religious reasons, we don't want a nuke. It isn't a weapon that can lead to a future for children. The literal religious edict preventing nukes is because they don't want that kind of death. And it's hilarious that these people think a regime change would reduce the chances of the nuke. Oh my God. And yeah, none of these people will be alive in 20 years, but I like the Muslim dude though. Yeah, that this dude is like actually thinking about the future, and that like they have a, I didn't know that that is the case. Like that's fascinating that Iran, you're saying Iran has a religious edict that prevents them from developing nuclear weapons because they believe that nuclear armaments are at odds with a prosperous future. Or like any kind of future, perhaps. Was that in Florida? Oh yeah, I don't know. Let me look. Ember, you might not be able to post a link. Or I guess should I just give you a wrench, Ember, since you're a fellow creator anyway? Like, because otherwise you won't be able to post a link if you're trying to tell me about this. Like, GOP lawmaker can't get abortion. GOP lawmaker nearly dies due to abortion ban. That sounds... Kat Kamek. Okay, thank you. Yes, I found the article just as you confirmed the name, so I will look at it now. No, I don't accept your cookies. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, so this is fascinating. GOP lawmaker nearly dies due to abortion ban and then blames the left and says she's still anti-abortion. Okay, girl, what? Yeah, disaster capitalism strikes again. Florida's extreme abortion ban almost killed Republican Representative and House Pro-Life Caucus co-chair Kat Kamek. But instead of using her near-death experience to shed light on her party's bad policy, she blamed, quote, the left for, quote, fear-mongering and refused to refer to her option as an she refused to refer to her operation as an abortion. May last year, she was 5 weeks pregnant and her doctors found that her child's embryo grew outside of the uterus where the fallopian tube meets. So she had an ectopic pregnancy where the baby is growing inside the fallopian tube. If this ruptures, it'll kill you, said the doctor. Also noting that the embryo had no heartbeat. The emergency room doctors and nurses determined that Kamek required a shot of methotrexate to terminate her potentially fatal ectopic pregnancy. But Florida's 6-week abortion ban, which had just been enacted, made those medical professionals hesitant to save Kamek's life because they feared they'd lose their licenses or even be prosecuted and sent to jail. After hours of arguments and one unsuccessful call to Governor Ron DeSantis' office, the doctors conceded and gave Kamek the life-saving care. Months later, Florida lawmakers clarified that doctors could act in cases such as Kamek's because ectopic pregnancies were not abortions in their eyes, and they refused to give a clear definition of ectopic pregnancies. So that's crazy. Like, of course it's an abortion. Like, just because you're aborting a baby that is imminently going to kill you doesn't mean it's not an abortion. It's like, oh, if you find out that you are going to bleed out and die when you give birth, like you having the life-saving measure of getting that abortion doesn't make it not an abortion just because you were going to die at the end of your pregnancy. Now, so I don't see why it would be any different if it's like, oh, I'm going to die imminently because this is an ectopic pregnancy. And so this procedure, I'm just not even going to refer to it as an abortion. I'm going to insist that it's secretly, it's like, my thing is different, you know, it's like the Good Place meme. My thing is different and you're just not getting it. And yeah, now she's saying that liberal rhetoric about abortion bans that are restrictive and ambiguously worded is actually to blame rather than the legislation itself. Some of these comments will be like, thank God we have abortion services, even though what I went through wasn't an abortion. No, it's not. You terminated a pregnancy. That's what an abortion is. Termination of a pregnancy. A miscarriage is a nice way of saying spontaneous abortion. Yeah, like a miscarriage is an abortion that just happened without you taking action to make it happen. But it's a termination. You killed a baby. According to your ideology, you killed a baby. What's the current update with Adriana's baby, by the way? Is that her name? Yeah, Adriana Smith. How is her baby doing? Is it still alive? It was like only 1 pound when it was born, right? Okay, 1 day ago, we have an update from the Atlantic. Oh, can't read the Atlantic. Never mind. I guess the news is that the baby is still alive. Like, I haven't heard anything. I'm not seeing any more recent news about the baby dying. So they delivered the baby. It was like they had this woman on life support, but her body started to decompose anyway. Like, I don't really understand how that works. If I'm honest, I don't really understand how like life support works. But for you to be on life support and then your body is just like, yep, I'm gonna decompose. So they had to remove this baby from functionally her corpse. This lady is a good lesson in how impossible it is to convince some people that they're wrong. Fucking true. But for people to be like, yeah, well, guess what? She is brain dead, so she doesn't have autonomy, so you can't make the autonomy argument that she has a right to choose what happens with her body because she doesn't get to choose. But it's like, but we don't take organs from corpses who didn't consent before they died. She has fewer rights than other corpses do. Insane. Her baby was on the wide edge of survivability. Even if he had been growing in a healthy body, it is low chances. He will have complications for at least 10 years of his life if he makes it at this point. Yeah, I was thinking that too. That like they delivered her baby, and I mean, delivered her baby is not even the right way to put it. They excised this baby from her corpse, and I was like, it was less than 2 pounds. Like, he is, like, how long? At 29 weeks pregnant, we have a 52% chance of saving them nowadays. Like, how? Oh, I meant the lady blaming the left for her own law, but yeah, that too. Yeah, sure. It's impossible to convince these people. They're literally like, yeah, but my thing wasn't an abortion. Like, well, but you terminated a pregnancy. You were pregnant, and now you're not. Or actually, she is pregnant now again because she's trying for another baby. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's ridiculous. And yeah, that baby that was extracted from Adriana Smith's body is like gonna require a lot of expensive medical treatment. Like, are they gonna try to put it? Is it gonna be like in the NICU for a while? Probably. Like, he has to be on like in an incubator, basically, right? Like, there's no way that he can just not have an incubator. There are not very many pictures of what a baby looks like at 29 weeks because of how fucked up a baby looks at 29 weeks. And for people who've lost a pregnancy at that stage, they're usually not taking pictures and showing them because like it's traumatic. Like, even if the baby lives, people don't usually take pictures until their baby starts to look a little bit more normal. I don't know what I was watching. I was watching something that was talking about this. So I'm mostly riffing off of something that I heard someone else say. But yeah, like, there's a reason why, like, this baby doesn't even look human. It was born so early that it still looks like fucked up in the way that fetuses look fucked up when you see those little like rubber things that it's like a little doll, or those like really high quality ultrasound pictures. Kitty says, my sister was born 9 weeks early in 1987. My friend's mom also had a baby 9 weeks early the same day. My sister made it, the other one didn't. Yeah, that's at 9 weeks. Yeah. Hello, gay fish. Howdy. Yeah, and then who fucking pays for the perinatal treatment of the 29-week fetus? Yeah, who is paying? I think that the stories that I've seen is that, so not only did they keep Adriana Smith alive against her family's wishes, but also that her family is going to have to pay for all of the work that was being done to keep her alive. Like, whatever is done, like ventilator or whatever it is that she was on. Fuck, that is one thing that I forgot to mention in my I Saw the TV Glow review. It's fine. Doesn't matter that much, but still, man, there was something about it, like something looked like a ventilator, and I wanted to call attention to it. There were too many things in that video to talk about everything. But yeah, no. So I think that there's an assumption that Adriana Smith, like, the insurance is not going to cover it. The hospital is not going to cover this pro bono. I think that it's going to be the family's responsibility and that they have to get a GoFundMe going. Yeah. And that's not even counting all of the care that will go into making this child's life livable, if he even makes it. If he dies, then they're still going to have to pay for all of the work that was done to try to keep him alive. Excuse me. Yeah, the family got fucked with $1 million medical bill. That does not surprise me. Oh my God, excuse me. Ugh, yawn. Yeah. My dad was supposedly a month premature, but knowing my grandmother, I suspect that was just the cover story so people wouldn't think he was conceived out of wedlock. Sometimes you have to fudge the details a little bit, all right? No one can fault you for that. You just like smudge the details a little bit. Oh gosh. Yeah, we were just talking about. Oh yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, Gayfesh, but there was a GOP lawmaker in Florida who like almost couldn't get an abortion for her ectopic pregnancy, and now that she got that procedure and she is now pregnant again a year later, she's trying to say like, whatever, my thing wasn't even an abortion, so whatever, this is all the left's fault for fear-mongering. Like, okay. Can the family sue the legislature for costs? I would like to see that happen with Adriana Smith. I would like to see the family sue for the costs if they are going to be stuck with it. This is part of why the big, beautiful bill sucks so bad and is so dangerous, is because they actually are part of this. I really hate that they do these giant bills that like encompass a lot of fucked up things. Like, can you just do one at a time? There's a reason they don't do that. But part of it is supposed to be that if you want to sue the federal government, you basically have to like pay them their potential damages up front. So you basically can't sue the government for violating your, if this law passes, you would not be able to sue the government for violating your rights unless you had the capital to do it. Good night, Andy. So like for now they can sue, maybe. We'll see. I hope some lawyer is really thinking about getting paid. I've been thinking about trying to do something else for merch, since I'm probably going to move away from the gender anarchy symbol for the channel. I don't know what would be good to put on a t-shirt. I'm going to think about that. Ooh, we got to 50 likes while I wasn't looking. That's lovely. Only the rich are allowed to defend themselves. That checks out with this trend. I mean, that's fucking true. Kitty experiencing the joy of being a parent to a baby right now. Growing up and being a parent is so funny. I just had a little party celebrating that the kid has only used 2 diapers today and used their small room potty 4 times. I'm so tired of washing diapers. It is time for them to use the toilet. Yeah, true. But I like the gender anarchy symbol. I'm not saying that I'm going to ever permanently get rid of it, Like it will probably will always be available in the merch store in some permutation, but I just am not going to have that be like the main symbol for the channel because this is now a media analysis channel. Void cat shirt. Yeah, if I just have a black shirt with like his eyes and like little face and that's it. The whole decal is his little eyes and mouth. That's a cute idea, actually. Baby is also ready and happy to be done with diapers. Another reason for cloth diapers is that they are actually less comfortable and encourage babies to want to be done with them. Ooh, that's convenient. Quite nice. White whiskers. Yeah, he's old. He has white whiskers. He's such a baby. Ugh. Although I don't even know if EB the Purple knew about that. Oh, dude, I do need to find an artist. I could maybe message EB and see if she would be available to take on the commission. But I had a logo I was working on with my friend Dizzy a while ago, but Dizzy is just unable to do it, although they helped me craft the idea and like refine the idea, which I'm excited that the idea is refined. So now I just need to find an artist who can actually do the logo. And that can go on shirts, of course. I'm intending whoever makes it for me, I'm going to give them a buyout fee so that I can just like own the design and not have to pay royalties. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of like if there's something that isn't explicitly branded that I should do as a t-shirt either. Good night, Riffs. Riffs, as a parting remark, says, YouTube, you better like the stream. It's true. Have merch of a silhouette of your hair? I'm definitely not going to do that. That seems very cringe. It's like only one step away from having my face on a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Just feels kind of silly. I might update the Gender Anarchy merch as well. I might take the green dragon wing off of it and just have it be the Gender Anarchy merch. Just because like the wing only is there because it's like my channel. And I could just have like, here's a generic Gender Anarchy symbol and they're like reduce printing costs because it's only black and white or something, I don't know. I'm just doing a quick little scroll to see if there's anything else interesting as we start to wind down. I'm an artist, but not a digital one. No, that's totally fair. Plot twist. I'm not here for politics or media analysis. I'm just here for the cool hair. Well, that's so much pressure. Now I'm never allowed to cut my hair. Did you think about that? Did you think about the kind of pressure that would put on me? I'm not really seeing a lot else that I could riff on for today. So I think we might be reaching the natural conclusion of the show. As an update, I'm not going to be on Takis tomorrow. Arden did see my message in the Discord, and I might be on the Hang Up sometime next month. We'll see what the schedule ends up looking like. So yeah, at Takis will get the schedule hopefully before next week. I'll know whether I'm going to be on next week, so I'll let you guys know. And aside from that, I'm planning to see you guys on Sunday. I'm going to post the I Saw the TV Glow review, ideally Friday, but Monday at the latest, so be looking out for that. I'm going to post in the Discord about it. Please help that video break out a little bit. Do the sharing and all that shit. I'll ping you in the Discord, all that jazz. And then probably the following stream, whenever I do upload it, like if I manage to upload it on Friday, then on Sunday, we'll probably talk about it and like talk about my review and kind of go over it. Or you know, maybe even if I upload it on Friday, we'll do that all on Wednesday so that it has a few extra days to get some more comments and some more views on it. Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate y'all, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you Sunday. Be good, or at least don't get caught.